Hi, everyone, and welcome to our very cheerful little tour through the world of authorship and publication ethics, also known as the place where good research teams go to fight. Authorships might sound straightforward. After all, you just list the people who did the work, right? Well, sure. In the same way that assembling IKEA furniture is just putting pieces together. In reality, authorship decisions are one of the most common sources of conflict in research groups, mostly because academic credit is basically our field's version of currency, with fewer emojis. Now let's start with authorship criteria and order. Different disciplines and journals have different expectations, but the general idea is that the author should contribute meaningfully to the study. Conceptualizing it, designing methods, analyzing data, and writing substantial portions or critically revising the manuscript. You can't just breathe in the same room as the research and expect your name to be on the paper. And author order, well, that's the academic equivalent of seating arrangements at a very intense family holiday dinner. First author usually means I bled the most for this project. Last author often signals senior leadership. Everyone in between tends to negotiate for their place like they're bartering at a flea market. Now, let's talk about two especially fun problems: ghost authorship and gift authorship. Ghost authorship is when someone who genuinely contributed is left off the paper intentionally. Maybe they did heavy analysis. Maybe they drafted a section. Maybe they rescued the whole study when data collection went sideways. But nope, no author for them. Ghost authorship isn't subtle, it's unethical, it's deceptive, and it pretty much screams, we hope no one notices who did all of the work. On the other side, gift authorship, also known as honorary authorship or congratulations, you're on the paper for no reason, adds people who had little or no involvement. Sometimes it's done to flatter a colleague. Sometimes it's done to appease a supervisor. Sometimes it's done because someone gave feedback once in a meeting 3 years ago. But giving away authorship is like giving away your social security number. It dilutes your credibility and raises a lot of red flags. To combat these issues, many journals are adopting contributorship models, such as the increasingly popular credit taxonomy. This system spells out who did what: conceptualization, data curation, formal analysis, writing, editing, project administration, and much, much more. In other words, it makes it much harder for someone to say that they contributed when all they did was nod during a Zoom call. Let's shift to team science, where authorship gets really exciting. Interdisciplinary teams bring together experts from different fields: statisticians, clinicians, sports scientists, biomedical engineers, and people who know how to fix the printer. Basically everyone. Team science can be wonderful, but without clear communication, it becomes a full contact sport. Roles shift, people drift in and out of tasks, and the question, who belongs as an author, becomes a philosophical debate worthy of its own TED Talk. The solution? Talk early, talk often, and actually document your decisions. If your team treats authorship like awkward conversation that everyone avoids, congratulations, you're now in a case study waiting to happen. All of these issues, authorship criteria, order, ghosts, gifts, contributorships, and team science, point to a broader truth. Ethical authorship is the cornerstone of research integrity. It protects transparency, it ensures accountability, and it keeps publication credit tied to the people who actually contributed to intellectual labor, not just the people with the loudest voices, the fanciest titles, or the most helpful suggestions. So as you move forward in your research career, remember this: authorship isn't about getting your name on a paper. It's about accurately telling the story of how science was created. And if we can't get that part right, well, what else are we going to get wrong? Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next module, hopefully with a few ghosts and gifts involved.